Welcome to Palm Bay Live, celebrating 1 year in business.
I just want to take this opportunity Kevin's given me to say thank you. Thank you for instilling a trust in me, to selecting me, choosing me to be the next mayor of this great city we call Palm Bay. I really appreciate the opportunity. I won't let you down. I'll serve you through God, honor, and integrity. May God bless you. May God keep you. May God continue to bless our great city, Palm Bay. Hoorah.
Hello everyone, my name is Marcia and June is celebrated as Caribbean American Heritage Month. Come on out, Caribbean people, let's celebrate our rich culture together.
Esto es Caribe Kings, and my people, we're inviting you Friday, June 4th. It's Caribbean Friday at Veterans Park in Port Malabar. Come for the food, stay for the music. We got reggaeton, salsa, calypso, all the best sounds of the reggae of the Caribbean. Come and party with us.
Así que ya ustedes saben, lo esperamos el junio 4, viernes, para celebrar la herencia caribeña aquí en la ciudad de Palm Bay. Así que no falte buena música, buena comida y ya ustedes saben.
Con Caribe Kings, nos vemos ahí.
Nos vemos allá.
Good evening, Palm Bay. Welcome to the third leg of tonight. We are going to be interviewing Mr. Tom Rebman. And folks, for tonight, we will be asking for your questions in the comment field. I was hoping to do live phone calls tonight, but unfortunately suffered some technical issues. And so we won't be able to do that tonight, but please like, share the video, We please share the video to all the multiple different platforms that you're associated with, so that we can get all the questions that we need to have sorted out to Mr. Redmond, sorted out. We, he can be able to answer them, and we can be able to set the record straight tonight and on different issues. So, Mr. Redmond, welcome to my platform. I know for a while you've been trying to get on this platform during the election cycle, but unfortunately I was so busy with the different individuals that I had to interview, so it wasn't possible to get you on during that time. So welcome to the platform, and thank you for being here. Please introduce yourself to those who do not know you, and let's get this show on the road.
Well, thank you very much for having me on, Kevin. I greatly appreciate it. So my name is Tom Rebman, and I am a middle school teacher here in Palm Bay. But I have other passions that we're going to talk about tonight, homelessness being one of them, politics being the second. So is that a good enough introduction, Kevin?
sure does it. It sure does it. So let's talk about why is you touch on homelessness. So of course, my first question to you is going to be, why is homelessness so important to you?
Well, it's so important to me because I made a really silly decision back in 2015. I was a teacher in Orange County, and I was trying to find a way to keep my students reading over the summer. And I got this bright idea to go live homeless in downtown Orlando for 30 days. I thought that would keep them interacting over the summer because these kids live in poverty. They're not going to read a book over the summer. And so that's how the homelessness thing started. I didn't know anything about homelessness prior to 2015. I was under the same impression that everybody else, that if you were homeless, you could get help, and there were shelters available and there was help available. And I got a rude awakening during that 30 days. It ended up being so impactful, I took an entire year off teaching and lived homeless in 13 cities across America. And what I learned during that journey was we need to do something about homelessness. We really aren't addressing the problem, and it's costing taxpayers a ton of money, and we're not really making much headway. So that's how I got started in homelessness.
Okay. All right. So you mentioned you talk about your motivation there. So let me move on. Tell us what you encountered because you lived on the streets for a while, right? So tell us what you encountered, the challenges you see while you were living on the streets.
Well, the first thing is that it's impossible to get a job. Now, I know people say that that's not true and that it's very easy, but I will tell you that I applied for well over 100 I think it was 149 jobs, if I remember correctly. It might even be higher than that in a 30-day period in downtown Orlando. And that was everything from sign spinning to anywhere I could go, and I really couldn't get a job. So that was the first thing that really impacted me a lot, because here I am filling out resumes with my actual qualifications, including my bachelor's degree, my master's degree, and I couldn't even get a call in for an interview. So that was very impactful. The other thing is just how difficult it was. You know, when I originally had the idea, I thought it would kind of be like, 30 days of going camping, but it was much, much more than that. It was very, well, let me just say, I never felt safe. It's very difficult to sleep when you're worried about getting your throat slit or something being stolen from you or getting beaten up. As a matter of fact, the first night I was homeless in Orlando, I started my homeless journey about 8 o'clock at night, and I found a park bench to sleep on that was in a area that was very dimly lit, and I didn't think anybody could even see me back there, and woke up with somebody's hand in my pocket at 4 in the morning. So that was my welcome to homelessness. So let me just say, living homeless is very, very difficult. I could go on and on for hours just about what it's like to live on the streets and not feel safe. But basically, I just learned all the myths of homelessness are pretty much all untrue.
So talk to me about what you kind of touched on it, but what's some of the stories you heard from those homeless individuals? I mean, that's how they got there.
Well, that's the key thing, is there were people that literally used to be rocket scientists, people that were professional musicians. I met professional athletes on the street. When I was homeless in Los Angeles, I actually met a professional athlete that used to play for the 49ers who was then homeless. So it's every walk of life, first of all. And you're only one tragedy away from getting there, or only one addiction from getting there. And so homeless people, the reason they're homeless is they don't have a friend's couch to sleep on. They have gone through all of the resources, and pretty much the last resort is to end up living on the streets. So people get there in many different ways, and the stories of homelessness are as unique as people themselves.
Okay. All right. Let me take one question, and we're going to be doing this one at a time here, guys. We're going to take one question, and I'm going to come back to my line of questioning. Let's see.
Okay.
You have some, questions here, and you told me that you're open to answering them. So let's go. If you love kids and humans so much, why are you so verbally abusive to the kids you teach daily? Let's also mention the violence in the classroom. Remember my daughters, you knew, okay, this is getting personal. So do you want to answer that?
I will address it quickly. I will just simply say that, you know, some people enjoy making others' lives miserable. I wouldn't address any of that because, first of all, none of it's true. And second of all, you know, it's not what I'm here for tonight. So I would happily allow anybody to come in my class anytime because, frankly, I'm probably the best civics teacher there is in Palm Bay.
Let's get back to my questions. Let's talk about the issues of panhandling. I see the city of Melbourne, right, is getting ready to pass this ordinance, and the crux of it is that basically if you pass a homeless person on the street, you're not able to reach out and hand them a donation of any kind. What are your take on that ordinance that's about to come down the pipe?
Well, actually, it's funny you say that because I met with Mayor Paul Alfrey on Sunday, and we discussed the ordinance, of course. I will simply say that the Supreme Court has already stated that you can't keep people from asking for help. I mean, you can't. It's unconstitutional to tell people they can't ask for help. I think where the mayor, as he explained to me where he's coming from, was basically that, you know, this is a traffic safety issue. You know, people try to lump homelessness and panhandling together. First of all, they should do that. Second of all, he's more trying to approach it from the traffic safety issue. I don't know if you're aware, Kevin, but you know, our community has one of the highest fatality rates for pedestrians, and we're actually ranked very low as far as how safe our streets are in that regard. So that's what Mayor Alfrey explained to me that he was trying to do. I will say that so far, I have not seen any ordinance be successful in doing this. And this has been tried across the country in various different ways. It's been tried in many, many cities. And the majority of the time, what ends up happening is the ordinance is struck down after a couple of years with a healthy settlement. I don't know if that's going to be the case in this regard. I will say that I agree with Mayor Alfrey that the streets need to be more safe, and I do agree that it's probably not safe to have people reaching out of their windows. But I will also say, when you're homeless, first let me say this: only about 6 to 8% of homeless people panhandle. So the majority of panhandlers are not homeless. And when you're desperate, when you're somebody that's in need, you will pretty much use anything you can to make what you need to make, whether it be for your kids, for your addictions, whatever. You'll use any story you can. So a lot of people claim to be homeless that aren't homeless. Now, those that are homeless should have the right to be able to ask other citizens for money. It's just the balance between what's safe for the community. I don't know that reaching in and out of car windows on a street, especially, you know, I see people that are on the on and off ramps of the interstate, that type of thing, it is safe. So I'll just say, first of all, I believe people should be able to ask for help. But second of all, I kind of see why this could be something the mayor would want to do. Okay,
so did you propose any alternative way of handling this to the mayor, and was he receptive to anything that you said to him?
Absolutely. The mayor was very receptive. And did I talk to him about this and many other things in relation to homelessness? I did. We spoke for well over an hour and a half. I've known Mayor Alfrey long before he was Mayor Alfrey. And I can tell you this, he has a heart for the homeless, because this is not the first conversation we've had about it. Some of the things that I shared was that, you know, basically street case management is what's needed and not funded pretty much all throughout the county. So that was the main thing him and I spoke about, because when you get people help, obviously if they're not living on the street and they're homeless, then they're not going to need a panhandle. The people that are professional, you know, in air quotes, panhandlers or people that are doing it for the wrong reasons, that's not gonna stop that population from panhandling. But to help the homeless people, we do need street case management and many other things that I talked to the mayor about that would improve the homeless being out there.
Okay. One of the things that was tossed around in the in the town hall that they did in Melbourne was that we should provide some kind of informational leaflet to the homeless population so they can know the resources that are out there for them. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, first of all, that's one of the huge flaws in our homeless help system, is people being able to have a direct pipeline to find out who can help them. Excuse me. The major issue with that is every homeless service agency is a silo, and they only serve a certain population. So it's very difficult to actually navigate the system. And that's one of the things that is included in the street case management I was talking about, was trying to get people to the right people for help. Because what we currently have in place, nobody knows where to send a homeless person. And, they'll tell you, the agencies will tell you to have them dial 211. Well, when I started helping the homeless in Palm Bay, I had all of the people that live on our streets call 211. And that wasn't effective. People did not come out to where they were to take care of them. And if you talk to most of the folks on the street, they've been through all of the whole rigmarole of trying to find help. There's very, very little help available out there, actually, Kevin. It's a very small percentage of the population that can even get help. We also don't have any shelters to speak of in Brevard County. And what I mean by that is I'm not in any way, disparaging the shelters that we have. For example, what used to be called the Brevard Rescue Mission. I'm trying to think of their new name, but it's not coming to me right now. But it's where Stacia Glavis is running the place there, and they do an amazing job helping mothers and children. And Cedar Rescue Mission does an amazing job helping people with their alcohol abuse. But here's the thing: if you're a single woman, there is no shelter for you. If you're a single man, there is no shelter for you except the Cedar Rescue Mission, which has a very small capability as far as beds. If you are a couple that does not have children, they want you to split up to try to give you services in the shelters that I was just telling you about. And most people, when they're in crisis, and that's what homeless folks are, they're in crisis. They don't want to be split from the only person they can depend on. So for a couple or a single man or a single woman, there's really not a lot of help out there except basically getting food at the daily bread.
Okay. All right. So we're going to be taking some more of your questions here in a second.
Sure.
Let's just pause for a commercial break, and we'll come back with some of your questions from the.
Hi, my name is Tony, and I'm inviting you to come on out to the Caribbean Friday event. At this event, you're going to hear the live band, Eruption. You're going to be hearing for the first time Palm Bay Fanatics. This is the only steel band in Palm Bay right now. We're going to have a lot of other live performances. Ras Professor. We're going to have a Spanish entertainment, live DJs. So come on out to our first Friday event, Caribbean Friday.
Hey, it's Bianca Love here, Christian recording artist located in Central Florida, and I'm beyond excited to announce that I'll be performing Friday, June 4th, Veterans Park, Palm Bay, Florida, celebrating Caribbean Heritage Month. I hope to see you there. It's going to be a great event full of Caribbean food, music, and I'll be performing my hit song, Baila, which pays tribute to my Puerto Rican Caribbean roots. Hope to see you there.
Yes, everyone, it's Marcia Jackson here. I'm a poet, I'm a dramatist, and I'm a stand-up comedian. I'm also a proud member of Fracasca. Come on out on June 4th. Come taste, smell, and see Bakaska celebrating Caribbean Friday at the Veterans Memorial Park. Yes, everyone, Eruption Band will be there playing soca, reggae, compa, and so much more. Come on out and represent in your different costume. Yes, for more information, see the Bakaska website. See you there.
All right, we're having some technical difficulties still, but let's go back to Mr. Rebman. Mr. Rebman, let's go ahead and address some questions in the comments. And before we take that, I know I'm going to touch on some personal issues, because one of the questions that keep popping up in social media and around is, why is it that Mr. Rebman can't work well with others? Why is it that he has a problem working with different stakeholders in the community? And so, yes, let's flush that out.
Well,
is there a problem?
I don't know how to answer that question on whether there's a problem or not, Kevin. I will just say that I work well with the people that I work with. In other words, at school, if I wasn't working well at others, I don't think I would keep a job. Now, if you're asking why I don't work well with the agencies, I would be happy to address that. And of course, they're not going to like a lot of the things I'm saying, because, most of it doesn't shed them in the best light. And this problem can't be addressed the way it's being addressed. And so, yes, I have a real issue with people pretending they're trying to help people while they're making a good living doing it.
Okay. All right. Let's go to some of these questions really fast.
Sure.
One person asks, how many homeless is living with you right now? Okay. How many homeless, do you know how many homeless is in Palm Bay right now? Let's ask that.
Of course I do. I know the majority of them by name, because for 3 years, basically myself and a couple of the nonprofits that I work with, along with John Mort, Humanity Village, are responsible for sheltering the homeless in place when COVID first happened, because the agencies and the county didn't want to use CARES money to try to do what the CDC recommended, which was to have the homeless shelter in place. So I basically know where the majority of the camps are, and I know the majority of the homeless people, and we're hovering just a little over 110 right now that are permanently, we know where they are. And the chief of police also has a good track on where everybody is.
Okay. All right. You have harsh criticisms for every organization out there who's working. Well, I just pointed out to that. Why, after all these years, haven't you started your own organization to show the public and the homeless that you truly are the expert and can be more effective than the organizations you criticize?
Well, understand, I don't criticize any organization directly. I criticize things that they do. And so I'll just simply say, the reason that I don't want to start a nonprofit is because I don't want to spend all my time raising money for salaries. So, I actually had a nonprofit. You're more than welcome to go look it up, Homeless and Hungry. And I found that, having a nonprofit is not the best way I can advocate for the homeless, because once you become a nonprofit, you can't truly advocate for the homeless. None of the nonprofits in the area advocate for the homeless. Now, they will go to city council meetings to ask for them to be funded for the programs that they want to run, but they don't actually go out and defend the homeless. How many agencies have you seen go in front of the city or in front of the county to talk bad about the bad things that are happening? I'll just simply say there are a lot of bad things happening. And so if they're not there to defend the homeless people, they're not advocates, they're service providers. And people need to understand that providing homeless services has become quite the business. A lot of these executive directors, et cetera, are making pretty substantial paychecks, a lot more than a teacher, we'll just say it that way. And they can't truly advocate for the homeless, even if they wanted to. Executive directors are held to what the board wants them to do. And of course, everybody has to play nice so that they get their funding for their salaries. Just to give you one example, the South Brevard Sharing Center has about $600,000 a year in salaries. That's off their 1099 from 2018, I believe. I posted it on Facebook. And so, you know, when you have that kind of money riding, you have to get along with everybody, and you truly can't do what is needed. I think that anybody that in any way has anything to do with homelessness will tell you that what's really missing is trying to put together where all the service holes are and attacking those. The other thing is having street case management and shelter services available. But is anybody out there trying to make that happen? They can't if they're a nonprofit. That's the answer. And so to answer Mr. Burns's question directly, the reason I don't have a nonprofit is because I couldn't be effective if I was a nonprofit.
Okay. All right. Thanks for your answer, sir. And I see somebody pointed out here that they had no family, or I know the gap is what's handling. Oh, okay. This is a different question. I know the gap is what's hindering the family, and I really want to be able. I think the first question to this was, where is that question? I think she mentioned somewhere she know a family. Yeah, a family of 8 that's living in a hotel, can't get assistance. They don't make 3 times the rent cost, so no apartments will accept these 2 working parents. Who can help them ASAP?
I know Kathy. I know Kathy very well, and Kathy does a lot for our community and helping people in need. And I'm sure that if Kathy were able to be on with us right now, she would tell you this is not the only family or the only situation. I will just tell you, I could give you story after story after story exactly what she's saying. And that's what I was talking about, is that most people that are in need can't get assistance. I mean, I got called by our state representative's office about a grandmother that was living in our park in her car with her grandchildren. This happens constantly where people that need help can't get it. That's my point exactly. Okay. And to answer Kathy's question, who can help them ASAP? Kathy, I will send you a Facebook message after this, and I'm sure you've already tried all the places that I'm going to send you, but I'll try to get you a list, Kathy, of maybe somebody that can help that family.
I don't know if this person being okay. If you gave our 80 homeless people $500,000 each right now, what do you think they would do with it?
The majority would not make good decisions. That's and I think what Ms. Beck's alluding to there is a lot of it would be used for drugs, and that's really true. That's very true. But here's what people don't see as part of the complete picture. You know, unless you have lived that life, you cannot understand what kind of a desperate situation you are in. It literally makes you not able to make good decisions. And I'm not making excuses for people being irresponsible. I'm telling you the facts that when you're suffering trauma, you worry about today. You don't look at long-term planning. You don't look at having good social relationships. There's so many ways that affects you. Living on the streets, not being safe, not knowing where your next meal is coming from is very traumatic. So I'll just simply say the people that truly need assistance and have it together and have not been on the streets for a long time would probably use $5,000 to get their family a new start. But if you gave $5,000 to every homeless person, the people that are alcohol addicted or drug addicted or have mental illness, which is another huge problem. We have no mental illness services for people on the streets. You know, they're not going to make good decisions with that money.
Okay. Do you know what STEP shelters are?
Yes.
Are you in favor of them?
Of a STEP shelter?
Yeah.
Well, if they're talking about the first STEP shelter in Daytona, I'm not sure what they mean by a step shelter. In other words, there's a bridge program that are in shelters. If you could tell me specifically what they were asking about, I could. But I'll just simply say that the problem with shelters most of the time is they don't have a pathway to housing. And most shelters are not shelters, they're jail diversion programs. So for example, I think what this person is probably talking about is the First Step shelter in Daytona that I fought for over 3 years in the city of Daytona. They had a fraudulent homeless expert. His name is Robert Marbut. As a matter of fact, he was just here in Melbourne trying to sell his wares. And they convinced Daytona that they needed to spend $20 million to put a homeless, they say it's a homeless service center across from the jail. And the real truth is it's not homeless services, it's jail diversion. So that model that has $1.8 million a year in salaries to run, that currently has less than 50 people in it, and they spent $20 million on it, absolutely not. I'm not in favor of it.
Okay. All right. You answered the question. That's exactly where we were going with that question. That was my question, by the way.
Okay.
Let's get back to a question from the folks online that's watching us. And so there's a question from Mr. Renee Felty. So do you have a pathway to housing?
Unfortunately, we don't. We don't have a pathway to housing. I don't have a pathway to housing. The big problem that we have is the county is not doing what they need to be doing to help all of the cities with this homelessness problem. They're the ones that have received all this CARES money and have refused to use it for things that are needed by our communities. It's really in the county's lap because that's where all the federal dollars go. It all goes from housing and urban development to Tallahassee, and here in Florida, DCF has an office there. There's the homeless office that distributes all the money, and all of those grants go out through the Brevard Homeless Coalition to the service agencies. Other than that, the county and the cities themselves are pretty much doing nothing or putting any money towards addressing this problem.
Okay, great. There's another question here from Miss Kathy. Do you know what exactly Steadytown and Streets to Home program doing to assist the homeless? And once they place a person into a trailer or an apartment, do they assign them to a case manager to help them with budgeting and show them personal care like doctor appointments and mental health counseling? And this goes back to me and you conversation this weekend, where I tossed around that idea of having something like that as so go ahead, elaborate. Tell me.
Well, I'll say yes. I definitely know Keith Donald in Steadytown. He has the right idea. Keith is actually, well, I don't want to say what he's doing. I'll let him say that. But I'll just say, yes, I'm aware of what Steadytown is doing, and they're doing an amazing job in helping people get help. They're one of the few agencies that I would recommend.
Okay. Awesome. I got your answer there. Let's see if there's any more questions in the thread here that I want to keep flushing these out.
Well, I wanted everybody to know, Kevin, real quick, while we have a little lag, the reason that I came on tonight, if I may.
Go ahead.
Okay, so in a world of social media today, people can go out and say anything they want about people. And unfortunately, there's really not too much you can do about libel and slander in today's society. So the reason I came on, and I welcome anybody at home that has a question to please ask it, because what I'm trying to do is let people know who I really am and what I really stand for and what I actually do. So if you have a question about that, that's what I'm here for tonight is like, for example, that Miss Bender lady that started. I taught that lady's child 4 years ago. And honestly, I don't know any other way to say it except for, she is somebody that are the kind of people that I'm talking about. I don't know if maybe they don't have good lives or whatever, but I'm here to talk about making our city better, not about all these false accusations that are on social media. And that's why I'm here tonight, to clear all of those up so that people can ask whatever they want.
Okay, here's another question for you. Have you ever been arrested, sir? I think that's another question. And for what?
I will just simply say that I don't think that has anything to do with what we're talking about tonight. I'll happily say, I'll happily say this. If I had a bad past, I wouldn't be able to be a teacher. And that's exactly what I'm talking about, is people trying to disparage people's reputation instead of seeing what people are doing for our community. That's why I'm here tonight. A question just like that.
Okay. All right. Let's take one more commercial break, for the last one for tonight, and then we will we'll take some more questions from the.
Hello everyone, my name is Marcia, and June is celebrated as Caribbean American Heritage Month. Come on out, Caribbean people, let's celebrate our rich culture together.
Okay, so we're back, and Mr. Rebman, let's go ahead and take some more questions from the audience. Sure. Let's see if there's any good ones here that we can muster up. Hopefully I see Miss Kathy, I already answered that. Quickly. Let's see, here's one. Tom, please then answer the question exactly. What are you doing? Advocating is just words. Are you looking for funds from the city, county, or state? Go ahead.
Oh, no, I'll be happy to answer that. So first of all, no, I'm not looking for any funds. When I was named the social services director of the city, it was a non-paying job. I actually am not looking for any funding. I'm looking for good homeless solutions. And so what am I doing? Literally for the last 4 years, with the exception of the last 6 months, this school year has been more than challenging, so I haven't had the time that I normally have. But up until then, I was assisting, along with some other nonprofits, in feeding and taking care of all of the homeless camps that we have in Palm Bay, 39 homeless camps. I would go pick up food donations from people that have leftover school lunches, and basically spent all of my time trying to connect people to services. So what exactly am I doing? I'm trying to advocate for change. And the most important thing that I'm trying to advocate for is street case management. It has worked extremely effective in many other cities. And so that's what I'm really trying to do behind the scenes, is trying to get our cities and county to consider paying for street case management, because unfortunately, there's just not a lot of federal dollars for that. And so when there's not dollars for it, it doesn't happen, because very few people accept those of us that work for nothing, that are volunteers. That's I'm one of those people. John Moore from Humanity Village probably spends 40 hours a week assisting the homeless. Kathy Jones is another good example of people that are out there helping the homeless. That's what I actually do, is I do my best to try to connect people to services and to change the way we're approaching homeless services.
Okay, I'm sorry, I wasn't on the screen. I just realized that. Let's see, what issues? Okay, we had before you answer this, let me cue it up. We had a tough political season, this past, and so one of the things that was tossed around, that there was some signs that was going up, and your name came up in the many different commentaries that you were responsible for those signs. First of all, is that true, and why did you do it?
It absolutely is true. As a matter of fact, on the sign it said that it was paid for by me. Tom Gom and Janice Crisp were not the only people I made signs for. Also, I wanted to make sure our mayor didn't get reelected, Mayor Capote. So yes, I absolutely paid for those signs out of my pocket and personally put them out there because I didn't want those 3 people in office.
And why?
Oh, wow. I'll just simply say this. You can go back and look at city council meetings and the way things were handled by the mayor with me personally, and you could understand why I don't think he was a good leader of our city. I'll leave it at that. I really am not here to disparage other people. That's not the purpose of us tonight. The purpose of us is to talk about how we make our city better, not dig into a bunch of dirt. See, that's what social media is all about now, is let's do all the dirt instead of let's worry about how we make our community better.
Right. So basically, I guess the whole essence is to flush them out, right? Just put it out there as to why you did what you did, and that way people can be able to draw an opinion, and instead of carrying their own opinion.
Sure. I did not agree with their platforms, nor did I think that they were suited to lead in our city.
All right. Well, you hear his answer, folks. Whether you like it or not, that's his answer.
I mean, that's my right as a citizen.
Okay.
I mean, aren't we, you know, I teach civics, and if you're not involved in politics, you're just somebody that does nothing but gripe, then you're not doing anything. So whether you agree with me or not, it was my way to influence the elections to the candidates that I wanted to see in office.
Okay. Mr. Burns asks, what is a case manager going to do outside of what you're saying that they already do? What specifically are you looking for a case manager to provide? You state there aren't any services, so what would they be connecting them to?
Well, Mr. Burns is right in a couple of areas there. First of all, we have identified all the service shortfalls in Palm Bay, and I have presented that to the city council, both in-person meetings with every single city councilman that was on the old council. I have not approached the new council only because this school year, as I said, has been challenging and I haven't had as much time as I would, but we've addressed what all our service shortfalls are. And so we do need to plug those holes, and that's going to take a lot of effort. It's going to take money too. That's the other thing. The city's going to have to spend some money. But what we really need by street case management is right now, nobody has a good handle on all of the data. I'll just tell you right now, our chief of police has better data than the continuum of care and the homeless service people as far as what people are actually on the street and what they need. The big key to case management on the streets, and that's why I say street case management, what they're going to provide is somebody that can actually help people connect to services, help them get over all of the obstacles that they currently have, whether it be getting an ID, whether it be getting their driver's license, their birth certificate. There's a million different reasons that people are being hung up in the system. And frankly, you know, it's more to give people hope. That's the reason that you have case management, because these are people, these aren't numbers. So when somebody is in despair and they have absolutely no hope and nobody checking on them, they're not going to succeed. They're just not. Nobody I know that has gotten out of homelessness got out of homelessness without somebody helping them. And what's really missing is helping people navigate through the system. I can't do it all. Kathy Jones can't do it all. John Moore can't do it all. All of us, and many others too, that I'm not naming, are out doing that. But it's not a concerted effort by one group to really know how, you know, who is out there, what they need, and basically ensuring the right people are getting housed with the limited resources.
Okay, Tom. And let's see. Tom, so here's a question for you. I know you already give me an answer on this, but I'm going to ask again anyway. Will you be running for office?
Wow. So let me say that during the last election, I got many phone calls, and I really entertained running for office during the last election. I believe that I could do a lot of good for Palm Bay in office. And I will say that maybe if this interview were done a couple of months down the road, I might be able to give you a super definitive answer and say, yes, I'm running for city council in Jeff Bailey's seat, something like that. But tonight, you know, honestly, unless I had gone and already filed for city council, I wouldn't want to say
So
I'm running.
I'm going to interject here. You already pointed out the seat that you will be targeting.
Well, I will say if I do run, that's the person that I don't believe belongs in office.
Okay, so you give us some food for thought. All right, so
And
well, I'm hoping that you will give me a phone call prior to that announcement, and you come back and you make that announcement on air. That way we can do a show and talk about it and flesh it out,
all right.
and see you know what made your mind up to go down that road. And so yeah, I would love
Well,
to do.
right now, I'm solely dedicated on my students passing the state mandated end of course exam. And so I really don't, the reason that I haven't run for office is because, you know, I'm kind of a one horse pony. I really don't have the time to do both properly. And that is be a teacher. I must spend 80 to 90 hours a week being a teacher. I teach 6 days a week, including Saturday. So once that's over with, June comes around, maybe we'll have a different conversation.
Okay. Well, like I said, I will be having a lot more conversations, and I told you that as well about the homelessness situation. We want to flush out all ideas, get everything out there. I'm going to be meeting with I'm going to try to meet with some stakeholders in the community and be able to try to have a community forum of some sort so we can get everything on the table. I think one of the main things that I get from the community, the sense that I'm hearing, and this is not just me talking, this is on a whole, is that you can't trust the individuals out there to know really, and you mentioned that during this interview, whether or not they're truly homeless. Because I personally, before I even started Palm Bay Live, have watched people in the Walmart parking lots. They walk around, they're begging for something, and then me and my wife would be in the car, and we literally watch them walk into an SUV and drive off.
Let me say this, Kevin.
And I'm like, wow.
Yeah,
I'm like, wow, really?
You're right. And let me say this, because this is the number one question I am asked. Should I give money to a panhandler? That is absolutely hands down the number one question I'm asked in any speeches I go give or any people I meet with. That's the first thing they ask me. So let me give you a very good answer to that question. Okay, the homeless people don't need a bottle of water. They don't need a sleeping bag. They don't need a pillow. They need somebody that cares about them. So here's the answer to the question. If you have taken the time to get to know somebody and you then believe in your heart that it would be a good use of your money, I recommend you give it to them. Okay? But if you're just handing somebody a couple of dollars sight unseen, let's think about this for a minute. If you're living in a neighborhood and you had a new neighbor that moved in next door to you and they rang your doorbell and said, hey, can I have $10? What would you say to them? You're like, I don't know you. I don't know if you need it, So I'm not saying don't give to people in need. I'll just tell you, I spend $10,000 to $20,000 a year of my own money giving to people in need. So I fully believe in giving to people in need, but you shouldn't give it to a random stranger that's standing on a street corner. What you should do, what they really need is they need a friend. They need somebody like Kathy Jones or John Moore that helps get to know them, understands who they are, finds out what they need, and helps them overcome the challenges so that they can no longer be living on the streets.
So basically you're saying no to panhandling.
I will say I do not roll my window down and hand money to random strangers. That is correct.
Interesting. Okay.
Now, what I will do is I will pull over and I will have a conversation with them. I do that very frequently. But
okay.
if their end game is, I just want money. Here's what people understand. I saw a post where they put a bunch of food that people had left that was given to them that were panhandling. And the thing that is provided all over our community is food. That's whether that's in the food pantries, at the Daily Bread. You know, people are more than willing to give you food. So they usually eat pretty good, even if there are people in need that are living on the streets. They usually eat pretty good. So saying that they don't want help because they don't want food is really accurate. They probably really don't need food. The other thing I want to point out to you is that if you give money to an agency, 50 or 60% of your money goes into salaries and people's pockets. You're actually going to get more bang for your buck giving money to a panhandler. They'll spend more than 40% of it on themselves. Now, most of that will probably go to bad places it shouldn't go, but for those that don't use drugs and aren't addicted, usually your money is well spent, better giving it to the person than to an agency.
Yeah, this person said what you should do for Panhandlers is give them a card with all the sources. And I mentioned that. I mentioned that during this interview, that's one way of combating this is to hand them a resource card of some kind to say these are the sources that these are the people you need to go to for help. And I don't see much people doing that. And that's what I had a discussion with Tom about that. I had a discussion with the guy from the source, Anthony, about that. So again, these are ideas that's being flushed out. And I even said to Tom, I may use, and for those who do not know, the Palm Bay Live is a 501c corporation. So I may use Palm Bay Live as a means of distributing that material out there to say, here are the sources to for you where you should go to get help if you so need it.
There's a problem, and the problem, Kevin, is not the resource card itself, because that's been done many, many times. There's many organizations that print resource cards right now. The problem is does that person have a phone? Will that person follow through? And most importantly, when they call that number, will they get somebody on the other end of the phone? The big problem that you have is that because there's such few resources, these people get inundated. That's why they try to tell you call 211, because truly most of the people, when they do get a hold of agencies, don't get a call back because the agency doesn't have time to call hundreds of people back and pay an employee when they're not being, paid to provide that service. I mean, a homeless service agency is just a 501c3 is nothing more than a business with a different tax code. If it's not being paid for, their board is not going to allow them to sit there and answer phones 24/7 and pay an employee to answer all those messages. So the real keys to the kingdom are actually getting that person to the place and actually getting them assistance. A resource card wouldn't really have a huge impact because all of the other associated problems, my opinion.
And that's your opinion, sir. And that's your opinion. Okay. Somebody said free phones. I'm not sure about that, Karen. Free phones.
They already get free phones. They all most people that are homeless get free phones.
Okay. So, sir, you want to tell us we're going to try to wrap this up, but okay. You want to tell us what is your ultimate solution to homelessness? What do you see is the ultimate solution to homelessness?
Well, I've outlaid every bit of what I want for the city of Palm Bay in many, many city council meetings. That's more than a 2 or 3 or 5 minute conversation. But let me just say it boils down to this. What I felt we needed first in our community is we were the only city in Brevard County that didn't have a cold night shelter. So we have taken care of that now. I helped raise the money and I started Palm Bay's cold night shelter that's still in operation 3 years later. I thought that was a key place that we could find out what people need and build relationships with them to help them get help. The next thing we need more shelter beds in Brevard County. We don't have homeless shelters for people that need to live in a shelter. We don't have near enough beds. The next thing we need is street case management. Most of the communities out there don't have as good a handle on it as we do in Palm Bay. I've been working with the chief of police now for over 4 years. He has actually even put a special code in his system when they have any interaction with a homeless person, and we do a good job of knowing who's on the streets and what they need. Most communities have no clue even what kind of problem they have. So data acquisition, which will be gotten through that street case management that I was talking about earlier, it is really key. Before you can even make a plan, you really have to know what you're up against, because currently the numbers that they use to plan things with is the point in time count, which is done by all volunteers on one specific day. And that's basically done for housing and urban development to drive funding, but it's not near accurate. It's not even close. And everybody that's in the business knows it's not accurate. So having a by name list of the people in your community who actually need services and what they need is the next step. And then, man, we don't have services, Kevin. We don't have services. The majority of the weight is being carried by volunteers and churches, and the agencies that we do have specialize in such a small population and only help such few people. We have extreme service shortfalls. So we need to put a lot of money at this problem. That's what we really need, from the county level and from the city's level. And what I'd like the cities to do specifically is, if every city in Brevard County paid for their own case management, they would save money in the number of police calls, the number of ambulance calls. I mean, we could literally, the ROI on that has been proven in communities all throughout the United States. I mean, it's not my opinion. None of this that I'm talking about is my opinion. It's all based on 5 years of really valid research. So I'll just simply say there's lots and lots more than just that, but that gives you a tip of the iceberg on what we really need. And that's why I loved what you wanted to do about the community forum. First thing we need to do is we need to identify all the service shortfalls and figure out how are we going to fill those gaps. And at the same time, get good data of what people need, so we really know if those gaps are what we say they are. Until we do that, if we continue doing what we're doing now, homelessness is continually increasing in Brevard County. That's by everybody's estimation, not my own. And truly, the agencies that are currently working on homeless house so few people every year that it can't keep up with the number of people that are newly homeless because of the pandemic, because of the other issues that we got going on in our country. We're not even staying even, let alone putting a dent in homelessness.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. Let's see. Mr. Rebman asks, how many case managers are needed per capita? And I think you talked about every city having appointed a case manager, right? Or paying for a case manager.
Well, to have a street case management program in the city of Palm Bay, you would need 2 people. So it'd cost you about $120,000 a year.
Okay. And then I think you answered this one, but let me ask it again. Is he focusing only on Palm Bay or the whole county?
Well, I meet with leaders all across Brevard County. I've given presentations at city council meetings. I must have given 70 to 90 presentations at different city council meetings, all the way from Titusville down here to Palm Bay, Cocoa, Melbourne, everywhere. Any chance I get, I try to educate people on the truths of homelessness, because it took me years and years and years of spending time on the street. You know, it was 3 or 4 years on the street of meeting with people and really dealing with all these issues, just like Kathy Jones, the family she's talked about. I've worked with so many families, and literally I've met with every continuum of care in the state of Florida. I addressed all of those at a conference in Orlando. So I'll just simply say, I'm working everywhere in Brevard, but of course I'm focused the most on my own community. And I want to say this lastly, Kevin, before we go. If I were to run for office, I want people to know that homelessness wouldn't even be in my top 5 things that I think that our city needs. This is an issue that is in my heart, because I know that these people need help, and I know they have nobody else championing them. So that is why I spend all my free time doing it now. But if I were to run for office, there's many, many other things that I think are much more important than homelessness that I would be focused on.
Give me one. One.
Well, the number one thing is getting affordable housing into the community, and believe me, I know where the lines are as far as what the city council members can do or cannot do. But that's where my major focus would be to try to lure people in and try to meet with business people to secure affordable housing. And this is not just for the homeless. This is affordable housing, period. That's the number one need of our community as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. What would that look like? When you say affordable housing, I mean, some people automatically think Section 8 housing type of deal. What does affordable housing look like with Tom Rebman?
Well, there's different kinds of housing depending on the population you're trying to serve. So, for example, if we were talking about affordable housing for homeless people, that would have to include a lot of on-site services. It would include a lot of mental health services and other things that would make that community unique, okay, for homeless people. If you're talking for Section 8, we need some nice Section 8 housing. I mean, people that are poor are not bad people, okay? They're not. And we really don't have good opportunities for people that have vouchers. We have people that get Section 8 vouchers that we pay the agencies to get them ready to get into housing, and they can't find anywhere to live with those vouchers. So we need some new Section 8 housing. And finally, we also need housing for the young adults and for the families that are making median wage, let's just say, so that they can afford housing. I mean, I just got a bump myself of $100 in rent, and it's been going up every single year. It's almost to the point, and I'm a retired military officer with a full-time income, and I'm having a difficulty, securing affordable housing for me. So let's just say that's the number one issue, and it's multifaceted depending on which population of people you're talking about, how I intend to approach it.
Okay. Well, I mean, one of the things that the challenges, and somebody here mentioned it, is too, because it just came to my head as this person was typing it. So Gerald Butler, we're thinking alike, because one of the things that you're going to encounter here is that there's houses going up everywhere. And if you just saw the interview I did with the city manager, we talked about the fact that on every road, there's houses going up now because of the fact that the roads are being paved. So, and as they go up, people are moving in them. So, how would that low income housing fit into that, in that whole scheme of things?
Well, we have to worry about all of our community members, okay? We can't just worry about community members that can afford $250,000 houses, okay? What about the people that can't afford those houses? There's lots of jobs in Palm Bay, and I'm not talking about fast food jobs, okay? Those are entry-level jobs in my opinion, but I'm saying you try to get a job in Palm Bay for $40,000 plus. It's very difficult, okay? There aren't a ton of $40,000 plus jobs. So for people that can afford to buy a brand new house in today's market, I don't know what the average of a 3-bedroom home in Palm Bay is, but I would venture to guess it's over $200,000. We need housing. We need to explore lots of options. I know people have discussed tiny homes. That's one of the options. And as a council member, the one thing you can do to lure in developers is to offer them tax breaks on low-income housing. There's lots of things that can be done to lure in brand new low-income housing. And when I say low-income housing, I'm talking about a family being able to buy a home in the $120,000 or $130,000 range, and that's whether that's a 3D printed home, whether that's a tiny home. There are a million different ways to approach this problem, but right now it's really unaffordable for people making median wage in Palm Bay.
Okay. All right, folks. I thank you for joining us. We have went over a little bit here, and today we honored the life of Mr. Richard Spellman. If you did not catch that, you can go back and watch the interview with the city manager. We did a special on him and put together a nice little tribute to him, and that was very good. And so if you guys could go back and watch that, you will appreciate it. If you do not know who is Mr. Richard Spellman, watch that video and you will get to know him. I'll try to replay it tonight for those who want to watch it, to see exactly the life of that man and the impact he had on our city. And for those who have watched like me, I'm a city meetings kind of guy. I live for those city meetings to watch them, and he goes up to that podium and speak in front of the dais and pray, gives his introduction, and it is overwhelming. So hearing of his loss was heartfelt to me. So yeah, so please watch that when you get a chance, and I'll try to replay that tonight at some point. Let's see. Yeah, so that's it. I think, Mr. Redmond, you answered majority of the questions here in the forum. I would like to have you back, sir. This is an open invitation. When you decide to run, please reach out to me so we can make it a live public appearance, and you can make that announcement. I think another candidate already made your voice known that they're going to be running.
Who is that?
I think I saw it somewhere in social media. I haven't really been able to contact this person yet. But there is somebody out.
Yeah.
But I don't believe they're running for your seat. I think they're running against Kenny, if Kenny chooses to run again. I believe it's Kenny's seat that they're going after. So yeah, so we're looking for. When we're looking to probably reach out to that individual and see if they want to make an early appearance on the show and you know, voice their concerns about what they're going to be doing for the city, etc. So and what they plan
Well, Kevin,
to do.
if I decide to run, you have my word that I will come announce it on Palm Bay Live.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for doing that. And I'm pretty sure the public will be happy to hear from you and be able to ask you questions as to why you made that ultimate decision. And again, thank you. And again, I'll be reaching out to you because I would like to possibly do a community forum of some sort to flush out these homeless issues. And we'll be talking to the different stakeholders as the months go by of trying to put together some kind of a forum, either at high school or somewhere where the public can come in and talk about the issues, not possibly on, it doesn't have to be on Palm Bay Live, because I don't think my medium would be impactful enough. We need something that is stronger to reach the entire community. I mean, I have my set of opinions, but I'm a wannabe journalist.
I think it's a great idea to have a community forum.
Yeah, and I told you what my ideas are, but I mean, it's not for me to put it out there. It's I want other folks' opinion on this matter, and it's something that we can all strive for to get this out there. But I will be inviting Antony from the source back to the platform. We didn't get a lot of time to flush out ideas today because we had some technical difficulties, but today was our 1-year anniversary for Palm Bay Live. Thank you for everybody who joined me today. Thank you for your continued support. And I love you, Palm Bay, and I'll be back soon with another edition of Palm Bay Live. Just keep watching the web space. Our website is www.palmbaylive.com, our Facebook group, our Facebook page, our YouTube page. Continue to keep it locked to those different sources for information. We also have an Instagram page as well. And as the months goes by, we can be able to meet again and have another community forum of some sort. But things are going to be ramping up soon. We're going to be doing more shows, and we're going to be inviting community individuals to the platform to talk about different things. So yeah, I'm going to be pushing it up to another level pretty soon here. And again, thank you guys for your support. Somebody asked, where's the after show anniversary party? At my house, in my bed, in about 30 minutes. Because I do have to work in the morning. I get a early rise. I start work around 5 o'clock in the morning. So I have an early rise. And so that's what it is. Thank you guys again for your support. And again, I will replay the special on Mr. Spellman here in a second, because I think you guys want to watch that. It was very impactful to me. Putting it together was I got teary-eyed a couple of times trying to put that piece together. So I think the public deserve to watch it. If you know who the guy is, you will know why you need to watch that. And really, it's impactful. It's very impactful, and we need people like that in our community. And I mean, May his soul rest in peace. That's all I can say. All right, Mr. Rebman, thank you again, Palm Bay, and thank you, community, for joining us tonight. Thank you. Have a good night. Welcome to Palm Bay Live, celebrating 1 year in business.
To say thank you for instilling a trust in me, to select me, choosing me to be the next mayor of this great city. I really appreciate the opportunity. I won't let you down. I'll serve you through God and integrity. May God bless you. May God keep you. May God continue to bless our great city, Palm Bay. Hoorah.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Palm Bay Live. Today's broadcast is dedicated to the memory of Reverend Richard Spellman, a devoted citizen of Palm Bay. Here to reflect on his memory is former council member Brian Anderson.
Evening.
What are your thoughts on Mr. Spellman?
You know, the first thing that comes to mind when you talk about Reverend Spellman is just how big his heart was, how much he cared about people. He cared about his city an awful lot, but he really cared about people. And that's probably why he cared about the city so much. I was fortunate enough to meet Reverend Spellman 2006, 2007, running a campaign. We were over doing a debate at the Neon Group, and that was really where I got to meet him and got to know him, because he hosted many debates. And the reason he told me he hosted these debates is so people could see who they were going to elect, and really get face to face with them. And where he hosted them at was the Neon Group. And the Neon Group stands for the Northeastern Organization of Neighbors. And that was a very proud and big accomplishment for Reverend Spellman, setting up this kind of Citizens Watch, neighborhood watch thing around the Port Malabar area. Very appropriately, Esther, his wife of many, many years, and Richard moved here to Palm Bay in the early 2000s, and they found a place on Faith Street. Anybody that knows Reverend Spellman knows he is a man of faith. If you look at the hierarchy of Reverend Spellman's life, it goes God, Jesus, family, and then everything else. So your job and your ministry, but God and then family. And you could see that every time you talked with him. You could tell that when you met his family, his children, his grandchildren, you went into his home, or you saw him talk at council meetings. So a lot of people that don't know about the Neon Group know that Reverend Spellman gave the invocation at the council meetings for at least the last 8 to 10 years. And he would always start off with a funny little quib and generally would go over the 3 minutes, and it kind of became a thing. But he never went up there and was just rambling or was upset about something. He brought the word of God. He brought the knowledge of God, the wisdom of God, and the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. He served his country in the Navy. He was a countryman. He was proud of this country. And you could tell when he gave the invocations that he loved the city, he loved the state, he loved the country, and his biggest love was of the Lord. He changed my life in a number of ways, but probably the most impactful is spiritually. I got to go to his house on a number of occasions. Most recently, his 92nd birthday, because we couldn't have his 93rd because of COVID. But the amount of people that were there, his family was there, the police were there, and just guest after guest showing up to tell how much he was loved throughout the city and the impact that he had on people here in this city. And the real big thing he always talked about with me was making sure people were involved and that we got people more involved. And it's where I want his legacy to go is just getting more people involved. And he had Troy over at the Neon Group, and I know Troy was taking that over, and I plan on following up and making sure that that's still going. You could tell about his impact. My wife was talking to my kids about the passing of Reverend Spellman, and my daughter had reflected upon him and said, "Was that was the man we went to with the hurricane, right?" And my wife said, "Yeah," and she said he was really popular because there were a lot of people there checking on him, a lot of police. And when we had went to make sure he had his shutters up, Councilman Johnson was out doing other people's shutters. I think he had went by that house too, but a lot of us council people had been by Reverend Spellman's house because he would invite every council member by there. And I remember a lot of times I would go there, and it was a 10-minute conversation about politics and a 2-hour conversation about religion and if you were living life right. And it wasn't because he didn't see stuff in you. It was just because he genuinely cared about people. Reverend Spellman saw the good in everybody. And that's what made him different than everybody, I think, is he was always looking to bring the best out of you. And if you were lacking in anything, he wasn't beating you down or pushing you down for it. He was offering help in any way that he could. We joked all the time just about everything. And he had a sense of humor up till 93 and was just a great guy. Esther had passed when he was 90, and he didn't lose a beat. He still came to the city council meetings. He still made sure he was having an impact. The thing you could appreciate about Reverend Spellman is he wasn't giving you just his view. He was giving you the facts behind the stuff and the way he saw it through the eye of the Bible and the Word. And another person that I see that's a lot like that has facts to back up what he says is Bill Batten. And him and Bill were very good friends. And it was because Richard was a uniter, and that's what he wanted to do. Among just being a reverend, he was a doctor, was a pastor, was a reverend, and was a friend. But the thing that he liked to call the council people the most, the people he met in chambers, was brother or sister, because he really felt it as though we were one family and we were just waiting to be saved, that we just hadn't made that decision yet, that we hadn't walked that way yet. And whether you did or didn't, he didn't hold that against you. It's my highest honor to know him and to know the impact he had on me. I am going to do my best to try to pass on everything that he left in me to the next generation, because you don't find people like Richard Spellman every day. And we might never again find somebody that just put everything he had to do to the side to try to better the city. It was his goal to be at those meetings and deliver that prayer and let the council people know that God was watching, and that if we weren't following that, it was going to catch up with you. and for the best for the city, for the residents, for the state, for the country. There was no shortage of love in that man's heart. That's probably the biggest gift I think he left us any with is how to love your neighbor. And you know, that's a commandment straight from God is love your neighbor. And we need a lot more of that. You could disagree with Reverend Spellman. His facial expression wouldn't change, not one iota, because you're allowed to disagree with people. But if you were disagreeing with the Bible, that was a different story. But you know, he's just an absolute great man, and everybody that had the pleasure of meeting him is better for it. And I think you'll find that sentiment all around the city. I know the 13 years that I know him, one of my greatest moments in being on council was being able to present him with a proclamation that recognized the time, the effort, and the way he put the word community back in the community, the way he tried to unite everybody. So that was a real big honor for me. And I know his legacy will live on. And every time I pass Faith Street, he'll be there, but he'll be here, and he should be in the heart of Palm Bay. And I believe council's going to do something for him. Should be coming up in the future. But, you know, I know you're up there. I know you're up there with Esther, and I'll see you soon, sir. Not too soon, but I'll see you when I get there, and I love you.
I think in a way that deserves an applause just getting here. Now, I want to know, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Normally,
Yes, sir.
when I get in this type of situation with these masks on, I can't hear people, and they're always sitting in a chair that I'm not close to a speaker or of some sort. And it is a joy to be here, and we're glad to welcome you to this section of Palm Bay, because I live not too far from here. It used to be that I could ride my bicycle here with no problem. Don't have a bicycle, I can't ride much anymore. So the Lord has been good to all of us. And so as we bow our heads in prayer, in just a moment, I want you to do some singing. If you don't know it, you do your best and I'll do my best. And we may come out on different keys, but we'll sing the same song. We'll get the words, and they'll have meaning to us. Let us bow our heads in prayer. Gracious God, our Father in heaven, you who have made each of us, you've made us in your image. In some way or another, we get scattered around, and we think some people are better than others. That's really not true. We may be able to deliver certain things that we say we can do, but we must also recognize that every person is important in your sight, and you've given yourself to us. And as you open the book of the Old Testament, you read, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth was void. There was nothing there, and God gave us what we have. And you see all that he gave, and you just read chapter 1. I really want to give everybody a homework at this point, because if you know God and you know how he works, then you'll be able to respond, and you'll find life, and you'll find it abundantly, even when people turn against you and don't go the way that you'd like them to. So help us to keep the mind and the heart there as we move on in this. And so America, there's a song. Let's sing together, God Bless America. Then I'll have a little more after that. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairie, to the ocean white with foam. God bless America, our home, sweet home. Once more. God bless America, my home, sweet home. Father, we know that you're blessing us. May we be a blessing to you. And we know our whole nation is in trouble, and we need to clear things up without the battles that we're having. and it's hard to figure out what people want done. But you know what you want done. So that means we must turn to you. We must do our homework again and read the scriptures, because you speak to us through the scriptures. That's not the only place, but here we get the general guidelines of what you want done in the world in which we live, because we discover that you reveal to us that we are the same. God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. So we all have something to give, and we're here tonight to do just that. And we pray your blessing upon all the folks here, certainly those folks caught in the struggle up in Washington. We pray for them that the healing might take place. Where people need to give, it's hard to figure out there, but we know that you'll give us the guidance that we need if we would pay attention and bow down to you and fall in line to do the things which will bring honor and glory first to you, then to others, and finally to us. And now, Father, as we thank you, come to this meeting here, we pray your blessing upon the new council folks. They've come in there, and I must admit to myself, to you, oh God, I can't recognize these people. And it's almost like I've come into a new group altogether, because I don't know them there. But we will, the more we meet together, the more we try to do your will and pay attention first to you and learn to love you, then we'll find life, and we'll find it abundantly. That's what you've promised, and we'll find it there. So let your blessing be upon us, on our council folks, and the good work that needs to be done by those who back it up, the workers here, and all the people here have come to honor you. May you be honored in what we do here. May we listen to you. Help us to slow down, catch up with what we need to know and do and be while we're here in this great meeting together. You're a great and wonderful God, and we must honor you. So our homework is get reading the scriptures, and we'll find out what God wants done, and he'll give us the strength to do what he wants us to do. Each of us have a responsibility. We just can't say that the city must do this, because we are part of the city. And help us to recognize that we are a part of the city. We're an important part. And we make it less important when we try to stay back, and we can spend a lot of time watching the TV, but we never get much accomplished there, other than order a new TV or something like that. So God, help us to be your servants today, tomorrow, and always while we're here, because we want Palm Bay to be a shining light on this area, and people find hope and joy and peace. May we remember that the gospel hymn, red and yellow, black and white, they are precious in his sight. Jesus loves the little children of the world. We need to keep that in mind, because that's what's true. You created each. And so may we learn to honor you and be your servants and the servant of all. I'm sure there's much more that we could say in recognition of the people who run for this office, and they have it. And now they wonder sometimes what they have, because it can be tough. But help them to hang in there and to make the witness that you want made, so that Palm Bay can be a great city. But then we want you to be honored by what we do and say. And we can say, God has made this, and we're seeking to serve God in his will and way. There's much more that can be said. And believe you me, I'm getting to the place where I can say more, but I won't do it now. So bless us and guide us and use us for your glory. You're a great and wonderful God, and we love you through your son, Jesus. And by the way, the 8 days of Christmas now will end tomorrow. So we can still celebrate Christmas. People can understand Christmas and the faith with the coming of a baby. But about three months from now, when we get to the time of the crucifixion, we discover people don't gather. What's this got to do? We have to go through all this? What Jesus had to go through, some of us will have to do that or come close to it. So may we be your servants and the servants of all. and may Jesus be served at all times. I pray in Jesus' name. And they all said, Amen.
Yes, everyone. It's Marcia Jackson here. I'm a poet, I'm a dramatist, and a comedian. I'm also a proud member of SCA. Come on out on June 4th. Come taste, smell, and see Bakaska celebrating Caribbean Friday at the Veterans Memorial Park. Yes, everyone. Eruption Band will be there playing soca, reggae, compa, and so much more. Come on out and represent in the different costumes. Yes, for more information, see the Bakaska website. See you there.
Esto es Caribe Kings. My people, we're inviting you Friday, June 4th. It's Caribbean Friday at Veterans Park in Port Malabar. Come for the food, stay for the music. We got reggaeton, salsa, calypso, all the best sounds of reggae of the Caribbean. Come and party with us.
Así que ya ustedes saben, lo esperamos en junio 4. Viene para celebrar la herencia caribeña aquí en la ciudad de Palm. Así que no falte buena música, buena comida y ya ustedes saben.
Con Caribe Kings, nos vemos ahí.
Vamos allá.
Hi, my name is Tony, and I'm inviting you to come on out to the Caribbean Friday event. This event, yeah, the live band, Eruption. You're gonna be here for the first time. Palm Bay Fanatics. This is the only steel band in Palm Bay right now. We're gonna have a lot of live performances. Rasa Fest. We're gonna have a Spanish and live DJs. So come on out to our first Friday, Caribbean Friday.
Hey, it's Bianca Love here, Christian recording artist located in Central Florida, and I'm beyond excited to announce that I'll be performing Friday, June 4th, Veterans Park, Florida, celebrating Caribbean heritage. I hope to see you there. It's going to be a great event full of Caribbean food, music, and I'll be performing my hit song, Baila, which pays tribute to my Puerto Rican Caribbean. Hope to see you there.
Hello everyone. My name is Marcia, and June is celebrated as Caribbean American Heritage Month. Come on out, Caribbean people. Let's celebrate our rich culture together.